Thanks, Elaine, for having me. And I think it's a wonderful day. It's a new dawn in America. We've got a fact-based administration. Dr. Anthony Fauci even today spoke about how he feels liberated to actually speak science and not worry about getting in trouble for speaking about the facts on the coronavirus. So they're off to a strong start at the White House. President Biden, Vice President Harris are clear. They want to get to work. And I think we're seeing that across the board. The appointees in their confirmation hearings, as Sean just discussed, they're very sharp. They're very well regarded, well respected. Even the one who's being held up, Ali Mayorkas, he's well regarded as well. But there are bigger issues on the policy that Sarah Hawley seems to want to complain about. But I think that this team is off to a strong start.
Well, we're finding out that there was no previous COVID vaccine strategy from the Trump administration, and with supply and coordination issues right now, are you confident that Biden can reach that big goal of his 100 million vaccines in 100 days?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I mean, not a surprise at all. There was no plan. They were so afraid to brief the incoming transition team on when Biden had his team about COVID, likely because they had no plan. So this is not unsolvable. We have been through crises before, and I think what President Biden is saying is that he's going to actually use the federal government to help resolve this crisis. And that means, for example, today, signing an executive order, as you asked about, on the Defense Production Act to tell our industry that they have to produce vaccines. That's something that President Trump confusingly just never did. So President Biden's putting in place the mechanism for building a vaccine apparatus. He's going to use FEMA and other federal agencies to distribute it. They're going to track it. They're going to trace it. He's putting in new executive orders about mask wearing. He's really tackling this head on. So I think outcomes are what's most important. And clearly, this is a plan designed at outcomes and getting people vaccinated and stopping the virus.
And Joel, we know you have deep experience when it comes to foreign policy. We're already seeing some moves when it comes to Russia. So I want to get your thoughts on that. And what else will you be watching for in the coming days with some moves, maybe with Canada and, of course, to the southern border? We've got to deal, the U.S. has to deal with its neighbor to the south.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And what you're seeing is this team coming in. It's a multilateralist mindset in this team, wanting to reengage diplomatically. And that means getting into multilateral agreements and bilateral agreements that advantaged our country, meaning the New START treaty on nuclear weapons with Russia, getting back into the Paris Climate Accord, getting back into the World Health Organization, basic, smart steps towards reengaging the world. And I think that this team, its experience, they're going to try to engage our allies and partners and adversaries around the world diplomatically first. It's not a surprise that President Biden picked one of our greatest diplomats, Bill Burns, to run the CIA, because he has a diplomat's mindset, Joe Biden does, in terms of engaging the world. And I think we're going to see that across the board in trying to reengage, reassert American leadership at international fora as well as bilaterally.
Yeah, I heard that multilateral word you used there. You mentioned some of the battles currently happening in Congress. Do you see any reaching across the aisle and some bipartisanship when it comes to getting some of these people confirmed? But then also we have this possible Senate impeachment trial looming. Or do you see that we'll be back into gridlock in the coming days?
I mean, it's a very interesting thing, the Senate. I worked in the Senate as a foreign policy advisor, and it tends to be that senators have a lot of common overlap. And we saw this in the vote last night for confirmation of the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines. She got 85 votes to 10 or 12 against. Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader, is now the majority leader. He controls the Senate floor. He's going to bring things up, and we're going to see a lot of Republicans supporting Democratic positions and nominees in this case that before with Mitch McConnell, he just wouldn't bring things up. He wouldn't bring nominees up. He wouldn't bring Merrick Garland, the Supreme Court, a nominee under Barack Obama, up for a vote. But now that there are votes, I'm confident we're going to see a lot of Republicans joining with Democrats on many issues.
And a lot of supporters, people who voted for Biden, have been waiting to see what other executive orders could be coming down the pipe. And some are anxious. They haven't seen more on immigration and the U.S. student loan crisis. Do you think we'll see more on that, or are they just going to have to wait a while before we get through this pandemic and some of the other more pressing issues?
Well, there's one lesson learned, a big lesson learned from those of us who served in the Obama administration, and clearly that's who's running much of this administration. is that executive orders aren't good enough, that there need to be laws. And so on issues like immigration, on issues like climate, on budget issues that are really contentious politically, healthcare issues, there needs to be laws. And right now, the Democrats, we have, and I am a Democrat, I'll say that, we have essentially control of Capitol Hill. So I think what we're going to see is Joe Biden and the administration pushing to get laws in place and not just do executive orders that can easily be wiped away by the next president, as is what happened with Donald Trump wiping away many of Barack Obama's executive orders.